Give a kiss. Okay, y'all, this is a transparency post because I've been asked from quite a few people how I knew that Booga was autistic and how I dealt with it. First, before I get into it, let me just say that I can only give you our experience and our journey. Everybody's situation may or may not be different, but as a collective, anytime somebody needs support or you guys have questions, if you're uncomfortable with putting it in the comments, feel free to message me. If I don't get back to you right away, I promise I'm not ignoring you. I just get a lot of messages, but I will always try to share any type of insight that I can that may or may not help you. In terms of our journey, I had a normal pregnancy. I had a hard but normal labor. I did have to get induced, but he came out, no health issues. In the early stages of his life, there was no issues. He hit all of his milestones correctly. And let me just say that I have to be very selective on the wording I'm about to use for this part of it because I've made other videos about this specific topic and TikTok has took them down. But after Booga turned 1 year old, he goes for a wellness check and he was behind on his. Now, let me just say, for my other children, I was very selective. I did not get all of the that they were offering. I only got I got very few. Anyhow, with Booga, when he goes for his wellness check, for whatever reason, I allowed his physician to talk me into getting all of them on the same day. She said he needed a total of seven. Like I said, I still to this day don't know why I allowed her to talk me into giving 7 on the same day, but they did. When I tell you there was an immediate change in Booga, like immediate, I'm talking next day, there was a loss of appetite. A couple days later, I started noticing the loss of interaction. He wasn't really like laughing at as much. He wasn't giving the eye contact. Just things started to change drastically almost immediately. And when I say drastic change, I mean like a drastic change. He used to say mama, baba, dada. All of that stopped. And closer to 2 years old, I noticed that he did not respond to his name. He didn't really give any eye contact, and he hummed a lot, like a lot. Now, at the time, I didn't know that humming was a form of stimming. I know that now, but I remember thinking back then, like, well, he hums a lot and he makes a lot of noises. He must be just trying to find his voice so he can use his words. So a part of me was thinking like, okay, he's just delayed in talking. But the other part of me in the back of my mind, I did notice, like I said, that big change after the 7. Now, when he got to like 2.5 years old and he still wasn't saying one word, that's when I was sure, like, okay, there's something different, there's something going on. And that's when it got kind of difficult because I brought it to Chuck's attention and Chuck was like in full denial. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just moving at his own pace. And, thinking back now, I'm like, okay, I should have just, I should have did more, but I was like, okay, because you really don't know what to do when you don't want it to be something. Nobody wants to have a nonverbal child. That's just, you don't want them to go through that struggle in life. So a part of me got to this point where I was like, okay, he'll get out of it, whatever the case may be. I just went along with it. Around 3, I was like, no, we need to get him evaluated. This is the part of our journey that got hard because you have to jump through so many hoops and you have to get referrals and you have to wait for appointments and you're just on everybody else's time. And it feels like nobody is paying attention to your child or giving them the care that, you want them to get immediately. Anyhow, I set the appointment for his doctor, which was already over a month out. That was the earliest availability. Your primary care provider cannot diagnose your child with any type of autism. They can only send out a referral based on what they feel as well. So when we get to that appointment, I fill out all this paperwork about, just the signs and different things that I noticed at home. She agreed that she felt it was autism and she was referring him out to get a real evaluation. When I tell you maybe 6, 7, 8 months passed and I still had not heard back regarding that referral, I was calling, I was emailing, they were behind. It was a nightmare. Then just bad luck and timing, COVID hit around the same time, which caused an either further delay because they had stopped any in-person evaluations and everything was going to be done, by Zoom. So at the same time that his primary care provider sent out a referral for his actual evaluation, she also sent one out to the regional center so we could get started with them. They happened to reach out to me and get us enrolled first. But every single meeting, and it was like 5-6 different people that we needed to talk to and do an evaluation with, and everything was by Zoom. And it was like we weren't getting any real assistance. So they were evaluating him by Zoom. They were trying to teach sign by Zoom. My son is not going to sit in front of a computer screen and pay attention to anything. He's not even going to sit in front of a computer screen long enough to let you evaluate him. Then my dad passed away from COVID. And that's where I kind of just fell off with the regional center appointments because I felt like they were pointless. Anyway, I was trying to plan a funeral, so I started missing those appointments. I still hadn't heard back regarding his evaluation. And you need the evaluation first because when the other people contact you regarding the referrals, they want a copy of the actual evaluation that has him, diagnosed. After I got the funeral and stuff out the way, I just got to a point where I felt like, you know what, we're just going to have to help him on our own. Nobody's going to care for your child as much as you do. So me and Chuck both started trying to do as much research as possible on autism and just self-teach at home. And my thought process at the time was, we can do this, which is wrong. You definitely need outside help, especially if you want to get them as much help as you can. And then right around 5 years old, he started self-harming. So he would get frustrated and hit himself in the face so bad that he would get bruises. And that's when I was like, no, something like we got to get some help, because it was, it was making me sad. And I was at the time doing a whole lot of research on detoxing from heavy metals. That's a whole separate video. If you guys want me to get into that, I will. But I did a heavy metal detox, and I tried several of them, and a lot of them didn't work. But when I actually found the diet one, and I started paying attention more to what he eats and different lotions that you use and that type of stuff, I seen a real drastic change, a positive one. He was much more calmer. He didn't hit himself, not as much. So anyhow, at the same time, I got back on track. I got the doctor's appointments, and I got another referral to get him evaluated. But of course, everything was delay after delay after delay. So we get in to see his primary care provider. I explained the whole situation, how I was frustrated with the regional center and the Zoom visits or the Zoom appointments, and still hadn't heard back regarding his diagnosis. It was just a lot. So she was like, okay, let's just start over. Like, I'm going to get you another referral out to the regional center. I'm going to get another referral out for him to get evaluated to get his official diagnosis. And then she was like, but what about school? And at the time, I did not want my child to go to school. I just was not comfortable with sending him to be in anybody else's care without him talking. Booga has never spent the night with people, nothing. Like, I just always been worried about that. It's always just me and Chuck. I just was scared about it. But she was like, he has to go to school. He has to go to school. He has to be around other people. So I finally agreed. Then he finally got his diagnosis. He was officially diagnosed with level 2 autism, nonverbal. And, they were kind of just telling me to make sure that we stay on top of him getting speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA therapy, which all you have to go through the regional center to get. The delay with the regional center has been the most absurd. Completely. Like, somebody dropped the ball. I was told that the initial application went to somebody who left on maternity leave and didn't pass it to anyone. Anyhow, after several emails and a complaint, I finally was able to get someone to come out to the home, which was only about maybe 4 months ago. So she comes out, and that person gives evaluation based on what they see, and they let you know, okay, now it's going to go to it's going to be referred to the psychologist, and the psychologist has to sign off on it. And once the psychologist signs off on it, then they all meet together, and that's when you can start getting the different referrals and therapy that you need. So as of right now, that's what we're waiting for. It's been like 4 months since that person came to my home. Ridiculous. On another note, what you doing? That's my sugar bear. Okay, so where we're at now. Booga is actively in school, doing good. And all we are waiting for is the regional center to get their shit together. I don't understand it. But yeah, that's the delay. So once we hear back from the regional center, then we can start getting ABA, occupational, and additional speech therapy. Because like I said, the ones that they give at the school, very minimal. He goes to speech therapy at the school. They approved him for 15 minutes 3 times a week. That's 45 minutes of speech therapy. I don't get it. But other than that, I do my own stuff at home. I am big on the heavy metal detox. I swear by it. It has helped. And like I said, I tried a lot of them. They weren't effective, but when I paid attention to the diet, I seen a very drastic change. So that's our journey as of now. And I hope it helps somebody.